welcome to another episode of Mechanical Warriors. My name's Josh Cavallaro, and today we're going to be installing an AEM water and alcohol injection kit onto the RX8. So let's get stuck into it. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to fabricate a tank that's going to go here, which is going to hold our water and methanol mixture. We're going to construct that out of aluminium, and then we're going to weld a little bit more aluminium across here to thicken this pipe up so that we can tap two threads in for the injectors to screw into. And we're going to run the wires from the Heltec to power everything, plumb it all in, get it rolling, and then we'll do another video at a later date which will show you guys how we're going to tune the Heltec to add more fuel or less fuel when we pump the water methanol mixture into the car. So come over here and I'll show you. This is what we're installing. This is the AEM pump. So this is a 200 psi water pump. This is our cap for the tank. So we've got a nice cap to fill it up with. Some extra fittings to split the line. This here, we're putting a pressure fitting on this line. So we've got pressurized water alcohol coming into here, right? This check valve basically, when it's on, it's spraying. When it's off, it's not. Now this sensor here is a pressure sensor, and what we're going to do with that is that's going to be wired into the Heltec. The Heltec will then look for pressure on this line, which will be in between this solenoid and the two injectors, if for whatever reason these injectors aren't spraying, the Heltec will know from this pressure sensor, and then we'll change the map to suit, so that if anything happens to the system and we're not spraying, the Heltec can protect the motor from detonation or anything going wrong. So that's the reason why we're putting that in. So the first step is to fabricate the tank, then we'll fit the pump and start running all the plumbing and wiring. So let's get stuck into it. Hey guys, so it's been a long day, but we have finally finished the tank. This is going to go sort of in here. It's not really sitting right yet, but that was an absolute mongrel to build. My TIG welder is actually playing up. I have no idea why. So I had to do all this with the MIG and then grind it back. Normally if there's any stress under these joints, you wouldn't want to do that. But because this is just a tank, she'll be fine. So the next thing, I've got to tap the thread in for the bottom outlet. Also put the cap on and weld the cap. So that's gonna go something like that. We'll be calling it a day. So we're back tomorrow and continue on with the install. Okay guys, so it has been an absolute mission to build this tank. I've mounted the pump as well. All we've got to do now is paint this tank, give it a little bit of a clean up, run the line to the pump, and I still have to weld my little piece in here on this pipe so I can tap my 2 injectors in. Monday morning's here. It's time to get this intake pipe out and do our modifications to it so we can fit the injectors. So these are the injectors that we're going to be tapping in. I'm going to be using a bit of alloy like this. This is a good thickness. There's still a little bit left on the end which will poke through this tiny bit of alloy. You can see it's not very thick. So we're going to cut this, weld a section of this here, and then tap the threads in. So I had a bit of an epiphany. I'm just going to cut this metal a bit smaller and just weld the area that I need to make the thread rather than having one big piece, because it turned out to be quite difficult to bend that into a nice shape. So let's try that. Alright, I got my 2 little bits, so I'm going to weld them into position on the pipe and then tap threads into that, so that'll be a lot easier to do than trying to manipulate that big piece. Don't know why I didn't think of that before. Anyway, let's get to it. Alright, so we've finished adding these raised sections on the pipe. So the next thing I'm going to do is drill some holes in there and then tap the threads for the 2 injectors. Then we'll paint this piece and install it back into the car. Let's do this. Hey guys, alright, so we have finished the intake pipe. So I've bolted him up. You can see there's our 2 injector nozzle holes there. I need to find out what injector ends are in the nozzles so I know how much I'm spraying in. They have different sizes that you can put in to change the amount that's sprayed. So we're after, I believe, 1300 or 1400 cc's of spray. The next thing is plumbing up the tank. So the tanks, I've started plumbing up there, so we're going to run back down here and over to the pump, then a 90 back around, come back up beside the tank, and I'm not sure where I'm going to mount the check valve. That's the next thing I've got to sort out. All right, so plumbing is officially done. So let's follow it around. So we're coming out of the tank there into an inline filter, coming through around into the pump, out of the pump, into our solenoid, which is mounted underneath there, back around, back up, and into the 2 injectors. And there we have it. So I'm going to wrap these lines some sort of rubber tube. I'll cut it and then splice it around, because that is the cool side of the intercooler, but just to be safe, I'm going to wrap it up so we don't get anything rubbing or anything burst. Although, even if we do have a bursted line, we'll have a pressure drop in our sensor and the Heltec will pick up on that. So still a bit to go, but now we are officially on wiring. So let's start wiring this bad boy up and then we are good to go. Okay guys, so I've just been to a quick trip to Jaycar to get some relays for the wiring. A little bit of wire I need to finish up the front there, a couple of clips and some other connectors here. So the next step is to basically wire up that pump and wire up the solenoid to the Heltec ECU, and that's pretty much it. So we've also got to run the wires for the sensor as well. There's 3 wires from there as well, so we're going to be running them from the back of the car all the way to the front, up to this section underneath the pump, get it all wired up, get it running. So we're on the home stretch, let's get it done. Okay, so we've got all the wiring in the front done, all the relays are hooked up, everything's wired in. I've just got to run 4 cables through to the boot, to the Heltec, and join them 4 cables up and we are done. All right, I'm back for the final day of the methanol injection system install. So all I got left to do is run these 4 cables through, around here, back into the inside of the car. Then it will go down along here, along the side, and tap into the ECU, which is in the boot. I shouldn't have to go all the way into the boot because I've got wires already there for in case I needed something like this. So this last part should be relatively easy, but my battery has since died, so we're going to have to put a new battery in it as well. All right, so now comes the fun part. So now we have to, inside the Heltec software, we need to assign the water injection output wire to activate the solenoid. So these are my cables I have to choose from, and basically what the Heltec's going to do is going to earth out one of these cables, whichever one I choose, which will close the relay and activate the solenoid. So I just have to wire up whichever wire I want to use. Then I select that wire from my selections in here. So I assign it to whichever cable color that I choose. And then that's that job done. Okay, so now that we've got our wire, we want to confirm it's the right one. And by doing that, we can earth the wire out, and Heltec will let us know on a voltage output on the line. So you can see just here, it's at 0.4 volts, sort of fluctuating. And when I earth that cable out, it drops down to 0 volts. So that confirms that we definitely have the right cable. The reason why we want to do that is because some cables, even though they're color coded, some look very similar to the others in the colors that are on the Heltec. So it always pays just to confirm you have the right wire you're dealing with. All right, let's continue. All right guys, so wiring is officially done. All I got to do now is just basically put the seats back in. That's pretty much it. So I'll whack that back seat back in. I've already done the wiring down there. Everything's soldered and joined up. From here, I've got to go buy a new battery because the battery's died. This change in weather, especially after about the 2-year mark. As soon as it goes from hot to cold or the other way around, you'll find your battery will tend to just die on you. And mine just has. So I'm going to go get another battery, install that, and then we're going to set up the Heltec and make sure all the settings are right there. We'll start it up and give it a test run. So the install is done. I just put a brand new Oppo battery in. Just got him on charge. You can see the boot system here. I've got a oscillator switch and a plug here if I want to actually charge the battery. But the battery is actually in behind here. And I'm thinking that I might move the methanol tank behind here and have the lid for it here. Possibly. Because the tank in here, I don't know, it doesn't look too bad, but it just seems a bit cluttered. Not really happy with the way this line turned out as well. Okay guys, so finished setting up all of the Heltec stuff. We're ready to turn it over. I've done a couple of tests to make sure that the water's pumping. It is definitely pumping. I've also done a test with it off, started the engine to make sure that we're not pumping at idle, which is actually so glad I did that, because when I did fire the engine up, it did start pumping straight away. So fixed that issue. That was just an active state issue on the line. I just had to change it from high to low. That solved that issue. So we're ready now to fire it up. So let's give it a go. And I've played with a bit of idle control settings in the car as well. So it's possible that it may idle high or low or strangely, but let's see how we go. You can't beat that sound. So I'm going to do a little bit more testing to make sure that everything's ready, and then we're going to be going to the tuners to give this thing a proper tune. Let's give it a little rev. How awesome is that? Alright guys, so if you've learned anything from today's video, please consider liking and subscribing. Check out some of the other videos we've got on the channel as well. And as always guys, enjoy the car scene. We'll see you next time.